So good morning, everyone, and welcome to my second free Tuesday training sessions. So the first one I kicked off 2 weeks ago was really an intro to my business building model, how to think about growing value in your business as well. And today I want to cover off a topic around strategy, and I'll explain where this fits into the whole business building model as well, because that's where the topics are going to flow from. But so today's topic is all about knowing your business, yourself, and your market. And it will be a very high level introduction to reviewing the strategy of your business. And I'm going to run through a couple of other sessions after this in the next few weeks that cover off other strategic concepts as well. So let's make a start. So firstly, welcome. I know everyone's busy, so I really appreciate you taking the time out to step out and to learn a few things, maybe hear about what other people are doing in their businesses as well. So just a very brief intro to me. I know a few of the people on here already know me, but I'm a business coach. Obviously, I've been running my own business for about 17 years. I'm an accountant by training, and so the numbers are very important. And my approach when I'm working with clients is quite structured. It is around the numbers. It is around strategy, around planning, around those hard concepts in a business. This last point here, I recently expanded my business to include a exit planning and business sales service as well. So if you do know anyone who wants to look at exiting their business, then let me know. All right, so today's presentation, here's a quick overview. I'm going to review or just give a quick overview of my Strategic Insights Questionnaire. It's a tool that I use with all of my clients when I first kick off with them, so I'll explain what that's all about. I want to talk about this concept of business by design rather than business by default. And I know a lot of people can be very busy in their business and just go with the flow and not really plan where they want to go. I want to talk about these two tools. SWOT, I think most people would have heard about, and also PESTEL analysis. So I'll explain what those two are and how they fit into this whole strategic review process within a business. And that's all great about analyzing your business, but we also need to analyze ourselves and assess ourselves. What are our strengths, weaknesses, and where we fit into the business. And then related to that is understanding the different functional roles and responsibilities within a business, and how many hats you might be wearing in your business, and how we can start handing those hats over to other people. And then I'll just explain what's next in terms of the training that's coming up. And if you have any questions, just pop those into your chat box. I'll be monitoring your the chat conversation as we go. So just very quickly, I'm not going to run through my business building model again, because you can look at the last presentation for that. But just explaining where this whole topic of strategy fits in, and that's here in this top box. So what I generally do is focus on strategy first with clients, and then look at some of the other fundamental areas, such as making sure they've got a plan to follow, making sure they understand where they're spending their time, freeing up their time so they can get more done in the business, and also understanding the financials. And the next few sessions will be covering those fundamental areas before we focus on things like marketing and sales and team building and systems. And then aligned with that is, this is a checklist I shared with at the last presentation. And also, if you've downloaded the Strategic Insights Questionnaire, if you haven't, I might just see if I can attach it here. I'm just I'm just going to add it into the chat window. Okay, so I've just added to the chat window for those that, it's just uploading now, it looks like, for those that haven't had a look at it as yet. So you can have a look at the chat in the chat window and download that. But in terms of the model, this is a checklist I use that cover off these 9 areas, and the topics I'll be covering will be aligned with these areas. So you can see in here, there's SWOT, there's PESTEL, there's understanding competitors, and so on. Okay. Just to give you a bit of a perspective of where these topics fit in. All right, so let's have a quick look at the questionnaire. I'm just going to flick over to my iPad. So you should be able to see that here. So this is the questionnaire that I've added to the chat window, and I've also shared earlier. And I think if you've registered for any of this training, you would have seen the download. So basically, just very quickly, I'll just run through it. It's a tool that I use with all of my clients. So just admitting someone else here. And it's something that I get them to complete before we have our first business review and planning session. So it gets them to think about the bigger picture, you know, where they want to be longer term, both business-wise and also personally. Because obviously the business is here, it's designed to help us achieve more in life rather than just it being our life. So I go through and ask them all of these questions. So you are more than welcome to use this tool and complete it. Try to get some clarity around where you want to go in your business, what you want to achieve in your business. So you can see there 3 years, 12 months. And then this is a SWOT, which I'll go through in a minute. It's a bit of a self-assessment, you know, what are your strengths, what are areas for improvement? A quick review. And so when I get people to complete this, it's really so that when we sit down, you know, I can go through this, have a discussion with them. So them completing this on their own is a starting point, but it's really the discussion, it's the conversation, it's me looking at that business model that I use, combined with looking at their financials as well. You know, what's working well in their business? You know, are the numbers stacking up? And then having the discussion with all of these details, understanding their customers, where they want to go longer term, a little bit about their competitors, get them to think about who their competitors are, having a discussion about that as well. And then also this last piece about who does what in their business, understanding what the team structure is, and then helping them understand where they need to fit in. All right. So I'm not going to go through all of this questionnaire with you today, but I will be covering most of these. And then in future sessions, I'll be covering off things like pricing and profit model and so on. All right. Welcome, Eric and Michael as well. Just open up your chat window, guys, and just say hi. Let us know how you are this morning, and hopefully you can see the presentation here. All right, so that's a very quick intro to the Strategic Insights Questionnaire. It's really a tool for you to complete. Later on, if you do want to send that through to me and we can have a chat about it, then happy to do that as well. All right, so as I said earlier, it's about business by design rather than business by default. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people get into business, they get busy in their business, and they get consumed by their business. And they may have had some plans earlier on, but as they get into the business, they just get busy and they just start going with the flow, and they don't really step back and think about where they really want to go in their business, you know, what they really want to achieve, how they really want their business to be set up so that it can help them with their personal goals as well. All right, so it's really just a concept for you to think about. I don't have any tools around that per se, but it is that, you know, going through the questionnaire process, setting goals. These are some things I'll be doing with you over the next few sessions. But really, for you to think about, stop just being consumed by your business and just being busy in that, you know, in the business, and take the time out to step back, think about where you want to head longer term, and then even design the business and structure of the business so that it can help you achieve things either for your team or for yourself personally. All right. So I know that in my business, when I first started coaching, I joined a large group, and the standard was weekly coaching, like meeting with your clients every week. And I thought, yeah, after I got into that process, it was just too much for me and too much for my clients. And so I redesigned my business so that I met with my clients every fortnight and all in the same week. So I had a busy coaching week and then I had a quiet week. And it was good for them because fortnightly meetings was enough. Plus, also it allowed me to take time off, you know, a week off every school holidays, 3 weeks off at the end of the year. So that's a quick example of how you can design your business to fit your lifestyle if that's what you want. All right, so very quickly, just want to run through SWOT. It probably doesn't need much introduction. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Obviously, strengths and opportunities are helpful to a business, and weaknesses and threats are potentially harmful. But looking at this across these horizontal lines, strengths and weaknesses generally are looking at the internal workings of a business, and the opportunities and threats side of things is looking at the external aspects that affect your business. All right, and I'm just going to quickly flick back to my iPad just to give you a bit more of an understanding of how we use this model. Obviously, in this model, we will, obviously complete all of these areas. All right, so that's the first step. But then what we want to do is then focus on, and what I do with my clients is look at these areas of weakness, look at how we can reduce those weaknesses. So looking at strategies, implementing better time management systems, financial management, all of these things to reduce those perceived weaknesses that people have in their business. Then looking at their strengths and seeing how we can leverage these strengths to really take advantage of these opportunities down here, and possibly also even minimize the weaknesses. So weaknesses could be, for example, threats, or threats could be competitors. So it's looking at how we can reposition the business to have less of those threats. Look at a niche potentially. Look at repositioning the business. So it's looking at doing this exercise and then seeing how we can improve the business by reducing its weaknesses, taking advantage of those opportunities by utilizing strengths and so on. Okay. And if anyone's got any questions, just let me know. Michael's joined. Yes. All right. So that's SWOT. SWOT's very simple, and I'm sure most people have seen it and have done that exercise. The next tool is Pastel Analysis. Okay, and so I've just listed down there what Pastel means. It's really looking at the bigger picture market, those external factors that may affect your business, and potential trends in your industry, and considering those when reviewing your business. All right, so looking at what's happening politically, how does that affect your business? Now, in a small business, this sort of analysis probably isn't as relevant. In a large business, a corporate or multinational, then you can understand that different political factors can influence a business. But even for us, Labor's in now. Does that mean more environmental policies? How does that affect your business? Even things like, I'm not sure if they're going to do this, but no FBT on electric cars. So look, what does that mean for your fleet? So those sorts of things. What's happening economically? Obviously, that we need to consider that. Socially, what are the different trends socially? What's happening demographically in your area? How does that affect your business and potential demand for your services? Technology, we all know that there's been huge shifts in technology and how that has disrupted different industries. Environmental is very, very big at the moment. And I suspect a lot of you probably have environmental policies that you might use and promote when you're doing tenders or when you're discussing your services with clients. And also lastly, legal, are there any legal changes happening that affects your business? All right, so that's just a very quick tool to use and those categories to think about when thinking about the future of your business. And then it probably fits into this bottom part here. How does that Pastel analysis then link into potential opportunities or threats to your business in that in those external factors? Quick question: has anyone seen Pastel before? A few of my clients may have, but has anyone seen that acronym? Has anyone used it or thought about their business or their industry in those terms? So Justin said yes and used it. Justin's got a corporate background, so probably more relevant in those areas. All right, so the next thing is to review your customers and competitors. Now, once again, if I flick over to the questionnaire, you'll see here when you do this, if you do this for yourself, obviously, this first one's pretty straightforward. But here it's good to really list down the customers you have, the different categories in this area here, and and not just what the customers are now, but also what sort of customers you want into the future. All right, so you might have a construction business that is targeting small residential at the moment. You might want to move into industrial. So what are the different markets that you want to target? And just listing those down and just thinking about that for your business. Once again, it's about business by design rather than business by default. Don't just be trapped and feel that, you know, what you're doing now is what you have to do forever. It's about really thinking about the future. If you're not a natural dreamer, which I know a lot of my clients aren't, you know, they don't naturally have these dreams or bigger picture visions, have a look at who else is doing things in your market. If you're a builder, looking at larger builders that you might want to emulate, how have they done that? Where have they moved their business? So get inspiration from those areas as well. Okay. And then lastly, looking at your competitors. I always recommend you list down your competitors, look at their, you know, what you think their perceived strengths are, weaknesses, look at their website, look at their reviews that people are giving them as well. With Google, it's pretty easy these days, or Facebook. What's the perception in terms of where they're positioned in the market? And then having that understanding, at least at that starting, you know, you don't need to look at them every day and get worried about competition, but I think it's useful when you're looking at your business and how you want to move your business forward, understanding the competitive landscape and then where you want to position your business. And I'll be doing more of that. I'll be talking more about this in the next session when I talk about pricing, positioning your business and creating that profit model as well. All right, so that's just very quickly understanding your customers and competitors. And then lastly, assessing yourself and how that fits into your team. All right, so I shared with you in the questionnaire, I don't need to go through it again, but definitely think about yourself, what your strengths are, areas for improvement, because a lot of the business and the success of your business depends on you. If you can be honest with areas that you feel you can improve on, and then you address those through training, through coaching, through meeting with other people, and learning and developing those parts of yourself, then your business will benefit as well. All right, so it could be leadership, it could be understanding financials better, it could be you know, better managing your time. You know, so if you can improve those aspects of yourself personally, then obviously you're going to be able to run a better business. All right, and then lastly, really understanding what the functional roles are in the business and how many hats you wear. So back to my questionnaire. So this last page gives you a bit of a breakdown of the key roles within a business. So obviously there's the head of the business, so normally the general manager. Now, I know that Justin's here from Chill IT. He's not the owner of the business, but he's the general manager. So as your business grows, you know, you might decide to put a general manager in, or you might decide to just keep that, you know, I've got a client who's got 70+ staff and they don't have a general manager. There's 3 directors that fill that role, but they're just about to move into that, you know, finding a GM. Then there's obviously these other functions: marketing, sales, operations, HR, finance and admin, IT, and so on. Now, it doesn't mean that you've got a separate person in each of these roles. Most of you have probably a smaller business and you'll fill 80% of those roles. But it's about understanding that that is the case and then looking at how you can then delegate some of those functions to others. And it may not be to someone internally. It could be leveraging off consultants to help you with your marketing or with HR or with IT. So it's really understanding that you need to start handing those hats over to other people, focus on the areas that, you know, that you can add most value to in your business, and you know, just really be conscious of where you spend your time. So in terms of that, I'm just having a look at some comments here. Okay, so Justin, so it's interesting, you know, Justin's the GM. He's got a decent sized business. I might just ask you to unmute yourself, Justin, if that's okay. And you made a comment there that this is your issue. You're wearing too many hats. Now, hi, Justin.
Hi.
So in your business, how many people do you have? roughly?
We've got about 24 in total, but 6
Right.
of those are IT group sourced in India. So we've got about 16 in Australia.
Yep.
So I guess our challenge is we tend to focus on hiring admin people or IT, obviously experts, technicians.
Which is in your case, that's the operations area.
Yes. That's all the
IT
operations
service
area.
provider. Yep.
Yeah. So we haven't. So if to grow a business, we basically hire additional techs. So that helps us grow our business because it's effectively their time and expertise that we sell.
Yep.
The problem with that is that we don't necessarily have other. So I basically wear the hats of sales, marketing, obviously head of business. I'm effectively looking at trying to handle too much of the operations. I'm trying to pass it off at the moment. And then, so I sort of feel like I'm wearing a large number of those hats. Quality and systems, that's me with me as well.
Yep.
So,
and as the GM, you probably, a lot of those hats probably do fall to you, but things like operations, you're right. You need to find someone who can just take ownership over that area, and even sales potentially. But anyway, it's and this is where it's theoretically great. It'd be great to be able to just give everyone else hats to be responsible for, but obviously we need to weigh up the financial situation of the business, what makes sense financially and what doesn't, how much the owners are willing to invest in things like sales, for example, and because that can take some time to bring results. So there's a whole heap of moving parts and considerations, obviously, but it is interesting that even a slightly larger business with 20-ish, 25 staff, you still feel like you're wearing too many hats.
to spread thin, basically.
So one thing I do, and we'll cover a session on it, is organizational design and looking at understanding, putting this sort of table into a organization structure format, understanding who reports to who, understanding how many people are in multiple roles, and also what are the key responsibilities of each of those roles. So that's for a future session though. Thanks, Justin. So who else feels that they can, if not totally offload a hat to someone else, at least give some of the responsibilities to others? So for example, even if you're a smaller business and you've got your sales is your thing, you might be able to get some support from some of your admin team, or even look at hiring an admin person to support you in sales or multiple functional areas. So there's things you can do without necessarily hiring someone to head up that function. There could be other things you could do to get support so that hat that you're wearing becomes easier to wear. Curious who here feels they've got areas that they can delegate to others, or that they can get maybe consultants involved so that you can free yourself up. Brett's saying finally happening. Yes. Brett's got a couple of people, younger team members that are taking over the management of the business, which is good. And that's across sales and operations. Well, actually across everything. They're looking at, they're now responsible for hiring staff, and so on. So now let me know if there's other things that you feel you guys can do. Eric, I'm training an application processor. Eric, do you want to unmute yourself? We haven't spoken for a while. Might just have a quick, get a bit of an understanding of what that is.
Morning, Anil. How are you?
Hey, Eric, good to see you.
So I run a mortgage business, and I have very clearly defined roles inside the business. I do still a fair bit of those, but I've got sales, marketing, delivery, which is operations, and admin, which is all the internal stuff. And I had an assistant that was doing 80% of the delivery. So we get a client on board, I do the sales and marketing, I do the sales, but then I hand it off to my assistant, and she will do the document collection and verification, structuring of the loan, lender selection, compliance documents. She was doing all that and getting it ready to submit, package it to get it ready for the lender. So I was getting less and less involvement in that, and then she left. So now I'm doing it.
Jump back in.
Which was quite a challenge. But a week ago, I got somebody new on board, and I'm training him up to do that. So I know it can be done. I had it, and now I'm just doing it again. Good.
And the great thing is that at least you've already got all those systems, presumably you've got all those systems
and training videos.
Written. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, I just wasn't quite sure what that meant, training an application processor, but that makes sense. All right, we better move on. So back to the presentation. So that's really all I wanted to cover off today. It was really just a quick overview of my Strategic Insights Questionnaire, and then also giving you an understanding of what the different parts of that questionnaire means and why I use it with clients. And it is really a great tool, a very simple tool, but something you should probably look at completing. So the next steps for you is really completing the questionnaire and do that yourself, and just to get clear on some of those areas for yourself and where you want to take the business longer term. I haven't talked about planning or any of those goal setting concepts in that questionnaire. I will be covering that in not the next session, but the one after that, as you can see down here. So the next session is about pricing, positioning, and profit. It's really designing your business to make money. So looking at your business model and your financial model. Then the one after that will be on vision, long-term goals, and getting your direction clear. But in the meantime, complete the questionnaire. If you do want to send it through, if you want to organize a review and a planning session to discuss your business, then happy to go through that with you and give you some insights. And lastly, just think about designing your business instead of being caught up in the day-to-day and just going with the flow and not really proactively thinking about where you want your business to head. Right? And as I said before, it is designed. The business should be designed to help you achieve more out of life rather than the other way around. Okay, so just open to any final questions around this topic or anything else in business in general. Happy to just open the floor. And feel free. We don't have many people here, so feel free to unmute yourself and ask away if you like, or just pop it into your chat box. So can I ask everyone while we're on, who here has completed that questionnaire before? I think a few of my clients have. Who here feels that it's something they want to do over the next week or so? So just pop that into your chat box. So Justin said he'll do it. It's on the to-do list for Chris. Excellent. The never-ending to-do list, I'm sure, Chris, like most of us. Long list, yes. All right, so if we don't have any other questions, I might just close it off there. So thanks, everyone. You can see I've got my two logos there. One's the Profit Coach, which is my main business, but also All Biz Business Sales, which is the business which I'm part of a group now, a national group that helps people sell their businesses. We don't actually do the sale because we're not brokers, but we do help people prepare their business for sale, put the documentation together, and then help them market it as well. So thanks, everyone. Everyone have a fantastic fortnight. For some of you, I might speak to you sooner than that. Otherwise, I'll send you information about the next training session very soon.